our friends at The View, Buck, we had a relatively short-lived, I would say, kumbaya moment when Whoopi Goldberg had like 2 takes in a row that we agreed with. And we said, hey, maybe The View is turning a corner.
We thought maybe they were going to invite the 2 of us on, the Clay and Buck extra special.
Maybe The View isn't the dumbest show in America that airs on a daily basis. No, they've continued. Joy Behar's fallen apart, but Sonny Hostin sometimes escapes our ridicule as also a uniquely dumb individual. It's like Joy Behar is Joe Biden, and Sonny Hostin might be her Kamala Harris, that the duo is so awful, sometimes it's hard to know which is worse. Sonny Hostin said she doesn't care at all about China imprisoning Muslims because black people are put in jail in America. This is really what she said.
And so as a woman of color with a 6'2" black kid in college and a 5'7", 5'8" black kid in high school, I don't see that part of American exceptionalism. I'm sorry. No. I think this country has a lot of problems that could be solved. Yes, maybe they're putting Muslims in jail in Afghanistan, I think you mentioned, and China. They're putting a lot of more black people in jail here.
Okay. What do we think of the chances that any of the ladies of The View, first of all, know what a Uyghur is or would be able to spell it?
I don't know that, to be fair, I'm not sure that I could spell Uyghur.
That is the group that she is, when she's saying Muslim, she's talking about the Turkic Uyghurs of Western China in Xinjiang province, who are in literal, and I use that word appropriately because people overuse it all the time, literal concentration camps because they are the wrong ethnicity and religious group for the Chinese Communist Party. She is comparing that to people going to prison for rape, murder, drugs, every serious felony, every serious crime in the country.
Yes, this is important because she would probably get fired on its face if she said something like that about the Holocaust, right? Oh, I don't really care about the Holocaust because we put a lot of black men in jail in America today. And by the way, why does the height of her kids matter? This is really weird. Like she said, I've got a 6'2" black son in college, and then I've got a 5'7" or 5'8" black son in high school. It's like, why does anybody care what height your kids are? It doesn't make any sense at all. But it's weird that she would. I think she has a law degree.
Yes, no, she does. She was. So fun fact. I was on a pilot for a CNN show where they ran a bunch of different people, and if I remember correctly, she was one of the people on the panel, and she was supposed to be the legal expert.
I mean, that's funny in and of itself, but how could you be so unaware? And that's what I'm saying about the Holocaust idea.
I'm sorry. This is important because I swear to God, Clay, I didn't even interrupt you. I'm sorry. I swear that I was going to say, I bet her son that she's so worried about goes to Harvard. Where do you think her son goes to school, Clay? Give you one guess.
Harvard, I'm guessing now.
Harvard student. And I am sure that it is, it's very hard to go to the number 1 university on the planet because your mom is a famous person and,
Their dad, she's married to an orthopedic surgeon. So if you want to talk about privileged offspring in America today, mom who is on a daily television show, dad who is an orthopedic surgeon, and the mom is going to sit on television and say, I don't care about what goes on in China because there are black people in jail in America. Well, concentration camps, you get put there because of your identity, not because of something that you did, right? And for her to not be smart enough to understand the difference, and she also said Afghanistan.
I mean, far away place, all the same to her.
With Muslims, like who cares? This is to me evidence of the cover that elites in America often give to China because they try to falsely equivocate for errors that may not be, like our small imperfections they use, this is what the NBA does. This is what so many people, this is what MSNBC, what CNN do. They cover for China by pointing out that America is imperfect. And they point out our imperfections as a way to justify not caring about the blatant human rights violations of China.
I think also this comparison with China is particularly interesting because here is a multimillionaire, Sonny Hostin, who is essentially saying, I don't care about what's going on in the forced labor camps with the forced sterilization of women, with over 1 million people confirmed, and the number's probably much higher than that going through this, who are also subject to extreme brutality, execution, and torture for speaking out against the state. I can't focus on that because I have a son who's at Harvard, and it's like really hard and dangerous to be at Harvard.
He's 6'2", Buck.
I mean,
her 6'2" son. I mean,
the racism that her son must be experiencing at Harvard compared to the racism that is going on in communist China in the concentration camps. I can imagine why she really, she can't focus on number 2, can only think about number 1.
How often are stupid things said on The View?
Can I tell you, honestly, the problem? They couldn't have us on The View because if we actually went there and got to, they would try to shout us down, but the people on that set are so stupid and so ignorant. But I know we don't like name calling here, sorry. They're so lacking in knowledge, wisdom, context.
I don't mind the name calling, by the way. I think they are stupid and ignorant.
Well, I'm just saying, it would be impossible to have a conversation with them where, and that's also why, by the way, they have like Joy Behar there, so they can always revert back to, they want to speak about serious issues. This has been described, and it was actually Jon Stewart that I initially think was written about this way, clown nose on, clown nose off. Like, sometimes Joy Behar wants to be serious, sometimes Joy Behar, when she gets, it's not that she can make jokes and do political analysis. It's when her political analysis shows she has no idea what she's talking about, has never read anything, nor has any knowledge of the subject matter. Then it's just, we're all just making jokes.
Yeah.
As this constant
That's
excuse,
a cover.
as this escape valve, as a cover.
And also, you know this, and I know this, but I think a lot of our listeners may not. There's a behind-the-scenes staff, probably of 30 people or more working on The View. So it's not only that people like Sonny Hostin are really woefully misinformed and ignorant about many of the topics upon which they're speaking, it's that they're willfully doing that in many respects. Because if you were on that show and you wanted to be surrounded by super smart people who could inform you to make sure that you get facts right and don't sound like such an imbecile, they would be able to have that staff, right? Like, this isn't some situation where it's a YouTube show and they don't make much money and sometimes people are going to screw up. This is a highly produced, incredibly lucrative daytime television show which has all the resources it needs to make its hosts as intelligent as they can be, and they still look like idiots every day.
I will say, I actually think that their service to the Democrat Party is to make Democrat voters feel more comfortable in their ignorance. It's like hanging out with the dumb kids in the class, but they're the cool kids in the class. And so you feel okay not doing your homework too, because the cool kids aren't doing their homework. So I'm going to go, smoke cigarettes after class with them and fail. That's the purpose of The View, to make people who don't want to do the work to learn anything feel okay with that.
And by the way, if you think these shows don't matter, these are overwhelmingly consumed by women that air during the day, suburban moms and grandmas. And those are the people that are going to be deciding this election. That's the reality. Men overwhelmingly vote for Republican candidates. That's the truth. Can we increase the number of men who vote for Republican candidates? Probably. But women are the true swing voters by and large in the suburbs, and they're listening to these imbeciles.